Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my very best strategies and recommendations for being more comfortable and confident on camera. And this is directed at pastors and church leaders specifically because for those of us that serve in church, we often have a unique set of skills. Most of us have experience speaking from stage or in front of a group of people in public, which is, far and away one of the most common and greatest fears amongst all people. But then we can get in front of a camera and maybe we're not as comfortable there. Because here's the truth. Speaking to a camera is very different than speaking from a stage. You have to do things differently, but here's the good news. I've been doing this for a decade now, thousands of videos, and I'm confident that we can take your existing experience speaking from stage in church or even just leading a group in prayer and then translate that to feeling comfortable on camera. I've got 5 easy tips for you, so let's dive in. Well, hey there, I'm Brady Shearer. This is Pro Church Tools, and we're here to help you and your church navigate the biggest communication shift in 500 years. If we're just meeting for the first time, consider subscribing. You can hit the little church bell to turn on notifications. And make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Brady Shearer, where I'm sharing my most timely content throughout the week. And one last thing, the Pro Church Tools Show, our podcast with my co-host Alexander Mills is back. That's right, after an extended hiatus, the show is back. The first episode since our return is already live, and to celebrate the return, we're giving away a ton of gear, drones, switchers, live streaming devices, a new giveaway on every single new episode for as long as we can do it. And let me tell you, we've got a lot of gear to give away. Now, if you want to be eligible to win this gear, it's quite simple. All you have to do is subscribe to the Pro Church Tools Show on your podcast platform of choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Once you've done that, take a screenshot and text that to 1-800-485-3139 because the Pro Church Tools Show is a questions and answer show. And we are now taking our questions through text. That's right, you can text us. And when you send in your screenshot that you've subscribed, make sure to include your question as well pertaining to the world of church and digital and communications. Those are the 2 things you need to be eligible for these gear giveaways. Subscribe to the podcast, take a screenshot, and send that along with your question in through text to 1-800-485-3139. Okay, let's now dive into our 5 tips for being more confident on camera. Number 1, scripting. I script every single video that I publish, and I use a teleprompter to read that script. I'm doing it right now, in fact. Now, if you want to see what this studio looks like behind the scenes, I have another video dedicated to that you can check out. It's above me and in the description. But on the gear side of things, I use the Teleprompt Plus app at 3.2 speed at 68 points on the font size. Look, it's on my phone right now. I can control it on my phone, and then it's on the iPad. So now when I need a more compact setup, I pair my phone with the Padcaster Parrot teleprompter made for smartphones. It's just about $100, so it's affordable and it's compact. The downside is the text is gonna be a lot smaller because it's playing directly off of your phone. For my studio setups like this one, the ones that stay set up and aren't torn down every week, I use an iPad for the teleprompter, controlled by my phone. I pair the iPad with a Telmax teleprompter made for tablets. And again, if you wanna see that in action, check out the studio tour video. That gets the gear out of the way. Let's talk about why I script my videos word for word. The big benefit is that when you script your videos ahead of time, it's one less thing to focus on when you are actually filming. And what I mean by that is I'm just reading off the screen. So I'm not having to recall my next point or the precise wording I want to use. And because I tend to be meticulous about these things, it's also allowing me to get my phrasing exactly how I want it. Now, this might not be the best setup for everyone. Learning how to speak from a teleprompter is a skill in and of itself, and when it's done poorly, it can come off, robotic. But irrespective of how precise you get with your scripting, some level of content preparation is highly recommended. You don't want to just jump on camera with a few vague bullet points and wing it. At least I don't want to. In fact, even when I'm not reading off a teleprompter, like when I do my shorter vertical aspect ratio videos for TikTok and Reels, I still write the script and then memorize bits at a time. And there's a lot I'm learning right now about shorter vertical videos that really is the future of content creation in a lot of ways. So look forward to a video on that in the future. You want to be subscribed for that one. And then one very important tip on scripting itself. You want to write your script just like you would talk. So if you look at my script, I'll often start my sentences with words like so, or now, or because. I'll use phrases like, and here's the thing, or I'll even go as far to put you know into the script. I did it in the intro of this video. You can go back and watch that to see me do it. Basically, the kind of wording that would probably never make it into a written article, but because this is a video and I want it to feel approachable and conversational, I write it in a more casual tone. And if there's one particular word I use more than any other, perhaps I even overuse it, it's the word now. So in a script, that would look like this. Now, one thing you want to look for, one thing a lot of churches miss, now I'm not saying that you can't do this. So it's a go-to opening word. It works great in transitions also, moving from one point to another very naturally. Feel free to use that. Now, let's go to tip number 2 and 3. Tip number 2. You want your face to be very expressive on camera. And tip number 3, you want to dial back on your gestures and expressions with your actual body and hands. This can sometimes be challenging for those that serve in church, especially those that are used to talking on stage because we're used to working a large room. And generally, when you're talking on stage to a larger room, you need to exaggerate your physical expressions if you want them to reach every corner and every person. Now, you're already using a mic, right? So your voice is amplified, but you need to do that as well, amplifying what you're doing physically. Now, of course, there's no mic for that. So what do we do when we're on stage is we dial up our physical expressions. You don't want to do this on camera though, because speaking to a camera is very intimate. It's more like talking to someone one-on-one. So if you take what you do on stage and do it on camera, it'd be like preaching to a person directly one-on-one. That's too much. When you're talking one-on-one, you're more conversational. So dial back on the physical expressions, dial up the facial expressions. This is where you want your emotions and nonverbal communication to take place in your face. So much so that you should be able to pause your video at virtually any point. And if you don't look ridiculous, you're probably not doing enough. And then back to our physical expressions for a moment. It can be helpful to have a few go-to moves when you're first getting started. The first one to commit to memory is your resting position. This is the position you'll be in if you're not intentionally doing something with your hands. And for me, whether I'm standing or sitting, my resting position looks like this. I put my hands together, not by intertwining my fingers, but by putting my hands together basically in the parts between my thumb and first finger. I find this resting position very natural. It doesn't look forced either. And then I have a series of go-to moves with my hands. I can go left or right with one while the other stays home. That's an easy one. When I'm making a more emphatic point, I'll get both hands involved. When I'm hitting a series of bullet points or a list, I'll count it out on my hands. When I'm comparing one thing to another, a pro, a con, a yin, and a yang, I'll go right, then I'll go left, and then always remember, on camera, everything is reversed. So your right becomes the audience's left, and vice versa. Tip number 4, I call this pitch and pace. We've talked about preparing the content with scripting, gear used for teleprompters, what to do with your physical and facial expressions. Now we're talking about your voice. Pitch and pace is a phrase to remember that will help you avoid one of the worst things that you can do with your voice when talking on camera, being monotone. And I just showed you what pitch and pace looks like in that last sentence. I'll do it again. Pitch and pace is a phrase to remember that's gonna help you avoid one of the worst things that you can do with your voice when talking on camera, being monotone. Pitch and pace. I purposefully speed up the pace of my talking, and when I do that, it's often accompanied by a higher pitch in my voice, and then I purposefully slow down the pace of my talking, which is often accompanied by a lower pitch in my voice. Okay, I overdid it there. Pastors familiar with a certain style of preaching will certainly recognize this technique. It's not uncommon for a pastor to slow down their voice and get particularly quiet when talking about the closeness of God, and then speed up their pace and raise their voice to emphasize the power of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So yes, that can also work on camera. You probably don't want to push it as far on camera as you would in person, right? This is more of an intimate medium. It is an effective technique, just don't overdo it. And now we've got tip number 5, which is watch the tape. Okay, this is your review assignment. The video's done, we've covered every aspect, and now it's time to review the game tape. And yes, this will probably be painful, especially when you're first getting started, but it is absolutely necessary. Do not skip this step because it's imperative that you watch yourself after the fact so you can see what it looks like when you do something, because how it feels to do something rarely has any bearing on what it looks like to do something. So you might try one of these techniques that I just taught you in a video, and you might think it looked a certain way, but you won't really know until you watch back the tape. And just to prepare yourself, I'll use a phrase here from my friend Sean Cannell. Your first videos will be your worst videos. There's just no way around this. It was true for me. You can go to my channel, sort my videos by oldest to newest, and watch those first videos published in 2013. I'm not as polished as I am now, 8 years and 500 plus videos later. For some reason, I'm pointing my shin to the sky when I talk at the camera, and when I say Pro Church Tools, I say Pro Church Tools. My name is Brady, Pro Church Tools. Why? Well, because I'm not yet comfortable, and I'm compensating a bit. And I should also disclose that those videos were not my first videos. Sure, they were the first videos I published, but I had already practiced for a significant period of time at that point, and I had made dozens of videos for my own church where I had already been on camera. So what you're seeing there in my earliest YouTube videos are my best efforts after more than a year already on camera. Bottom line, your first videos will be your worst videos. That is a constant for every one of us. There's just no way around it. So the sooner you get started, the better. Now here's the thing, just because your first videos will be your worst, doesn't mean they won't be impactful and helpful to many. Okay, that first video I just shared with you, that was part of a series called the Church Video Series that launched this channel and taught so many creators how to use cameras to create videos in their churches and ministries. So sure, I wasn't especially polished on camera yet, but I hit publish anyway, and that content made a difference in people's lives, which is what this is all about. And that is always our motivation for creating. That'll do it for this video. Remember to subscribe to the Pro Church Tools show and send in your question to be answered to 1-800-485-3139. That'll also make you eligible for every one of the many gear giveaways we'll be doing. Just send it along with your screenshot that you subscribed. We're giving away a piece of gear on every episode for the foreseeable future. New episodes drop every Wednesday on the podcast. New videos drop every Tuesday on the channel here. So subscribe here on the channel as well if you haven't already. Thanks as always for your time, attention, and trust. We'll talk soon.